everyone, and welcome to the final session of our two-day workshop here at Firki. I am your host Deepika from Firki. I will be your guide for this workshop to help you navigate through it. First of all, a big thank you for being with us over these 2 days. We truly value the time, energy, and the commitment you've brought to this space. As a token of appreciation, we will be providing a certificate of attendance to all the participants who've attended both the days of the workshop. We will share more details on how to fill out the feedback form and access the certificate at the end of the workshop today. But before we begin, I request all of you to go to the chat box and share what you are looking forward to taking away from today's session. I can see most of you have started introducing yourself as well. Would be great to actually hear what you are looking forward to take away from today's session. Certificate, certainly, we would be providing you all with a certificate of attendance. It could be as simple as learning some simple frameworks for giving feedback, or how can I, as a leader, model feedback, more about feedback, how to shape school culture. Just want to take how to give effective feedback to teachers and school leader. Learning to give constructive feedback, building better school culture, strategies towards positive, inclusive, and a happy school. How can I change mindset of my colleagues? Very important. Develop positive school environment. Keep these reflections coming. There's already a lot of energy and excitement in the chat. How
If
to
I write letter A like this, is it okay?
Looking forward to learn how to implement feedback in the school. With such powerful intentions, just keep them coming. And thank you for sharing your hopes and expectations. It is so powerful to see what matters most to each of you. Let us keep these goals in mind, and as we move through towards today's session, let us get started, right? So, the National Education Policy 2020 emphasizes feedback as a critical component of improving teaching and learning in schools. Teachers are expected to give meaningful feedback to students and receive feedback themselves. So, by using feedback well, schools can create a learning environment where everyone grows and improves together. Hence, it is essential to make feedback a regular and a positive part of education. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce today's speaker. She's a Firki leader as well and an inspiring alumni of the Firki School Leadership Program. Please join me in welcoming Shirley Hepzibah, a truly dynamic academic leader who brings both heart and vision to the field of education. She comes with a rich background in instructional leadership, global collaborations, and reflective pedagogies. She now serves as the academic coordinator, upper primary at Wellemal Global School. Her approach blends international practices with local context, helping schools build culture, feedback, trust, and continuous improvement. She's also a TEDx speaker, coach, and curriculum innovator. What I personally love about Shirley's philosophy is her belief that feedback isn't a tool, it is a mindset. And that mindset, when nurtured well, can truly transform our learning communities. So let us show some love in the chat box and give a huge virtual welcome to Shirley, ma'am. Shirley, we're so excited to hear from you. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Hello, everybody. I'll just quickly take a minute to share my screen, and that way we would be able to quickly start. Hello, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Can I see a little bit of highs and how are you all for today? Quickly in the chat box, please, because I am someone who always prefers to keep things very, very interactive. I cannot do a monologue. So, yeah, thank you so much for all the highs in the chat. Hello, hello. I hope we have a good time today discussing. And one thing I want you all to know is today is going to be more about us discussing things more than me bringing things to your table. So you are going to tell me about how we can do good feedback and everything. So let's quickly, try to pull in all our ideas and see what we can come down with at the end of the session. So to give you a quick brief about what we're going to be doing for today, we are going to we're trying to understand emotional dimensions of feedback, differentiate feedback models, and I am going to bring to you all something called the 4 feedback styles and how we can make it into a constructive feedback setup. All right. So this is the plan for me for today. And I'm going to start you all with, start the session with a quick story. All right. So I'm going to ask people to be very active in the chat and tell me how you think the story might end halfway as well. Right. Okay. So what happens is there's this artist. Right. So what he's doing is he has a beautiful artwork. And now what he has planned to do is he's planned to present it. Just give me a minute. All right. Let me quickly work with my slides. All right. So what he's doing is he is putting it into an exhibit. Now he's putting it into a public display. And what he says is he's given an open invitation to people and he says, mark any mistakes in red. Right. So the option is out there to the people. Now, what do you think would have happened? Do you think there's going to be a lot of red marks, or what is your take on that? Can I quickly see what you all think about it? All right. Some red marks, lot of red marks, all red. All right.
Good evening, everyone.
So what happens is, what you said is absolutely correct. It was completely covered in red, right? So what he is going to, yes, plenty of red marks, which he was not very, very happy about as well. And he had a very tough time getting along with that. And I'm also having a bit of a tough time getting along with my PPT to move. Just give me one quick minute and I quickly stop sharing my screen and share again. Right. So it's covered in red and he's not very happy about it. But what he's doing is on the next day, he's putting up the identical copy of the painting. And now what he's saying is correct mistakes yourself. And he has put a basket with brushes and paints provided. It's the same location. And now what happens is the canvas is completely untouched and the brushes are clean. Everyone watched. Nobody did anything about it. Now, when we look at this, what do you think could be the moral of the story? What do you think we can take away from this story? Yes, no one touched. We can only criticize but not mend it. I see that in the comment. Yes, absolutely well said. No one comes forward to correct the mistakes. Now, easy to criticize. Yes, it is pretty easy to say something people love to criticize. And yes. So what happens is when it comes to giving out feedbacks, sometimes people tend to forget how we are presenting the feedbacks. Like a full of red marks is not going to make anybody feel easy as well. It's easy to identify mistakes. It's easy to say, this is where you went, this is wrong. But then it's going to be pretty difficult to go narrow it down and say how to correct it. How can I make it right? Right? But then that is where the good ideology of feedback lies. Like we should be, when we're giving out feedbacks, we should be able to tell people that this is where you can improve and this is how you can solve the problem. So that is what we're going to be discussing for today as well, as in like how we can give out feedbacks that are connecting with people and also help them to, should have the solution. Right. Now I'm going to quickly ask you to do some answering in the chat box. Now, the prompt is going to be good feedback feels like. And I want you all to quickly tell me, how does a good feedback feel like? Now, this is more about emotion. Think about how emotive you would feel when you have a good feedback. I'm going to quickly take some time to read the chat. Supported, motivated, yes. Achievement, top on the sky. Good feedback motivates us to do good things. Timely, refreshing, validated, sense of achievement, confidence. I would very much agree with all of your opinions on what a good feedback will make you feel like. It'll make you feel, no, not exhausted. It should supposed to, a good feedback should supposed to make you feel more confident, more motivated, more validated. And it should, even if it's a constructive criticism, even if it's trying to say that you should be doing better at a certain point of time, it should be able to guide you in the right path, make you feel motivated towards, like, yes, I can do it. I just have to do a little bit of changes. Yes, it should make you want to do more. I wish, now let's move on to the second prompt for our chat discussion. I wish feedback at my school was more. Now, this is more of our personal reflection. Now, you're all school leaders, teachers. You would have seen a lot of feedback scenarios in your school as well. Now, what do you think a good, how your school's feedback should look like or should make you feel like? I'm going to quickly read through it. With respect, guide me to be better, specific and helpful. A breath of fresh air. I really like that metaphor. It's the simile. Yes, it should feel like a breath of fresh air, providing valuable insights and motivation. All right, agreed, actionable, clarifying. Okay, it should give you the sense of achievement. Okay, all right. It should make you feel motivated. Now, this is where we're going to quickly plan on how we can make our school's feedback feel the same way you want it to be felt, right? You all have quickly put down how you want these feedback to look like. And now we're going to discuss what you or I, as an individual, can do to make the school's feedback look, feel the way it should be felt, right? So that's what we're going to be doing for the next few sessions. Now, why did I start with emotions, right? Now, the reason I started with emotion is because I personally feel like feedback is personal. More than about academics, it's about how it makes you feel. Like, it makes you feel like you can do better. It makes you feel like, it's just a matter of little bit of changes. And it shapes your behavior. Feedback is not just about how you give it, it's also about how you are able to receive it at an environment as well, right? So it's also about give and take. It's about you noticing about how you can build a better feedback culture. And that is why I'm starting with emotions. A feedback is not a strategy, it's a culture. Because it's not something you can put it through, force yourself into. You should be able to naturally do it. And that is why it is more of a culture, right? Now, I'm going to quickly take you through my feedback journey, as in like why I am thinking. I'm seeing a lot of interactive, interesting chats in the chat box. And yes, I'm reading all of that. You are giving me a lot of perspectives to discuss through as well. Now, when I talk about my feedback journey, I think with my classroom and leadership role, I've learned that feedback is always a two-way street, right? If I am able to give a good feedback, my feedback will be successful only if the other person is able to receive it the way I want it to be received, right? So that is why, as school leaders, it's also very important for us to give effective feedback and also stay at a position where we can also take good feedback and consider that and take it into suggestions as well. Now, when we're receiving feedbacks, listening is very, very important. It is very, very powerful because we have to pay attention to what is being told to us, right? Mistakes are not the problem, but then when we're choosing not to correct them, that becomes the problem. Like when I take you through my journey of being a school leader, one thing I've realized is our mindset when we're into so many decisions, sometimes we would not be able to make the right decision at every place. And that is why we have to trust our team to give us effective feedback, and we should pay attention to what they're trying to say, because that way we will be able to make good decisions no matter how many decisions we are stopped into as well, right? That's very important. Now, when students teach you, that's another perspective that I want you all to think about. Now, do you think only teachers or our colleagues are capable of giving us good feedback? This is a quick question to you all. Now, I have already told you that students can give you feedback. Now, who else can give us effective feedbacks? So our colleagues, students, parents, that's a good perspective. Yes. Peer group, our leaders, parents, stakeholders, peers, kids, teammates. Yes, absolutely. Now, one thing sometimes as school leaders, one thing that we get blinded by is that only good feedback comes from our leaders or our colleagues. No, good feedback can come from our students. And somebody said non-teaching staff, and I very much second that as well. It's feedback can come from anybody, and that is why when we're school leaders, it's very important for us to pay attention to the feedback that is coming to us. Feedback fixes faster. Now, it resolves the conflict quicker. You are put through less stress. And students, when you take in the feedback from the students, you feel heard and you feel seen. And that's very important for a school culture. Now, I did receive in the chat box about how we get good feedbacks from our team, and team feedback saves time. Like most of the time when it comes to making decisions, the first thing that I do is I take it to my team. Because, even though my brain says there is a right decision that you can make, you don't have to consult anybody. When you take it to the team, you are able to see a lot of perspectives coming into the picture, and that way you're able to analyze the situation better, and that will give you shared responsibility. And when people are giving in feedbacks, it makes sure that everybody are felt equal. Yes, it brings in many ideas as well for your consideration. Right, I'm having Jasneet putting the hand up. Can I quickly have a word? I think you would like to share something. All right. Okay, the hands went down. All right. So we'll continue in that case then. All right. So when we're talking about feedback, it also acts as a leadership integrity. Now, when you're a leader, if you think that you alone are responsible for the decisions that are made in your setting, in your environment, then you're not giving in way for leadership integrity. So that makes people think that you are a strong, like anybody. For example, if I'm going to make my own decisions, then people will think that I'm very self-obsessed person who doesn't want to consult another person. And that way we are breaking our team. And it's very important for us to make everybody feel included, everybody feel respected. And by that way, we will be able to create a very collaborative environment as well. Right? Now, I'm going to quickly take you all through the next segment. But before that, let's quickly have a quick question and answer in the chat box. I think you all have seen the question there. What feedback have you received that changed your leadership or your teaching style? Like, quickly try to recollect what feedback you have received in your own setting that has completely changed the way you've handled your leadership position or your teaching position. It could be from a parent, a teacher, or a student. All right, I'm seeing a lot of answers. Okay. To be more empathetic in my classes, and right, respect doesn't mean hierarchy. Absolutely, agreed. All right, feedback on new ways of reaching out to parents, constructive criticism, appreciation from parents about their child's growth. Nice to keep going on and focus on goal. Nice, nice. It's all very nice. Okay. All right, I really like this chat answer, and I'd like to read it out loud as well. I used to be too emotional to take everything personally, and the feedback has helped the person to change themselves. Like, you see how a good feedback changes how you see your leadership position, or how you see your working environment, and that changes you for the better, right? That's absolutely agreed. All right. All right. There's another feedback, outgoing student feedback about my demeanor being stern. So I'm actively lighter and funnier and smiley when entering classes. So the student is given the feedback saying they look very stern. Therefore, the teacher has decided to be a little bit more bubblier. So you see, this has completely changed the way how, now this way, when you're being very lighter and bubblier, the students connect well with you. The students listen to your classes, and you see, it's a win-win situation for everybody. So all of these kind of feedbacks change how we look at life, how we look at our leadership position, how we look at our teaching position as well. And that is definitely helpful for us. And that's why we're supposed to listen to the feedback. Now, when it comes to giving out feedback, and I'm going to give you these 4 feedback styles that is given to me from the TED Ed team. So if anybody of you are a TED Ed educator, you would have already come across this. I asked AI to generate 4 cards for my images in the side, and look at that doing me 5 cards. Now, this is one up and down of AI. It makes your life easy, but then it doesn't give you what you want also. All right. Once put your, all right. Yes. Okay. Now, the first kind of feedback is the hearts. Now, this is like the 4 different types of cards we have in a deck. Now, the first one is heart. Now, hearts is where your feedback is really warm, but then also very vague. Like, it feels good, but then it doesn't really have a direction in it, right? So it gives you confidence, but then it doesn't really tell how you should improve or how you should make your work better. Now, an example would be, Sam's cat intro is great. Now, this is positive. Yes, this is saying something really nice, but then it really doesn't tell you in which part were you actually good, right? In which part, how did Sam's intro stand out? Why was it great? Now, this kind of feedback is what we call heart feedback. The feedbacks that are warm, good, positive, but then they're very vague. They completely lack direction. On the other hand, whenever we feel like we have to give out these heart feedback, yes, just for the sake of giving feedback, we give out these heart feedbacks. But then what we're supposed to be doing is, instead of giving out heart feedbacks, we're supposed to give diamond feedbacks. Now, let me tell you what diamond feedbacks look like. Now, diamond feedbacks are positive, but also very, very precise. Now, it recognizes the work effectively and explains the reasoning behind the positive outcome. Now, this will encourage repeated winning and strategies, because the feedback will tell you where you did well and why you should repeat doing that. Like, for example, Sam's opening story about the pizza eating cat caught my attention right away and built up suspense. Now, this clearly tells us why Sam's introduction was actually good. It was because it had that attention, it was able to grab attention, it had that suspense element in it. This is also praise, but then it's also specific with a clear direction in it and a clear reasoning. Now, this tells us why is that a good thing, right? Why was it actually good, right? So this is hearts and diamonds. Now, I'll quickly repeat. Hearts are positive feedbacks, but they're not very precise. Diamond feedbacks are positive and precise feedbacks. Now, that clearly has a direction for you to follow, right? Now, the next one would be the clubs. Clubs are critical but unclear, like constructive criticism, right? we always talk about constructive criticism, and what happens here is this is criticism, but is not necessarily constructive, because you are a feedback is given out, but then it doesn't have a helpful guidance. When you give out clubs kind of feedbacks, the other person, the person at the receiving end, will most likely feel that you attack them personally. You were not planning on giving them any way for professional development. And that is because the feedback was not very clear. It did not guide them into how they have to correct it. Now, like the example here says, I didn't like the opening about Sam's cat because it's silly and I don't like cats. Now, you see how this is completely vague. It doesn't necessarily give scope for the person to improve the essay. We're not really telling them how they have to improve themselves. So that is where the problem comes in. So clubs are problematic feedbacks. Should be constructive criticism, but then it's just criticism. It doesn't have construction in it, and therefore it makes people feel offended personally. It affects people personally. Now, on the other hand, instead of clubs, what should we do? We should be doing spade feedbacks. Now, spade feedbacks is constructive, but also actionable. Now, what happens here is it identifies the specific problem. It clearly tells what the problem could be. And it also offers a very concrete solution and what to do for the next step. Like the guidance is very actionable. It helps navigate through confusions. And the example, just give me a minute. All right, I've passed through my... All right. So one of the example would be, I was confused by how Sam's cat story connected to his next point. I think a transition would help. Now you see here the feedback is perfectly pointing out what the problem was. It did not have proper connection. So the candidate should focus more on transitions, on the transitional words. Now, when you give these kind of feedbacks, when we give out these kind of feedbacks, this will help the receiving person process words. Yes, I will definitely give out some process words. Now, when we're giving out these paired kind of feedback, now the other person will be able to receive it and understand what they should do to improve their work. So we quickly discussed about 4 different types of feedbacks. And I'm going to quickly ask the participants to quickly type out what these 4 feedbacks and their types are. I'm going to quickly move to the next slide, and then I'm going to ask you to put it on the chat. I'm going to see who is able to put everything into the chat. The 4 different types of feedback. It would be heart, clubs, spade, and diamond. Now you have to tell me what is what feedback as well. I'm really sorry, I'm being more like a teacher here, asking you to put it down as well. But I mean, that should be fun. Let's have a little bit of fun. All right. Perfect, perfect. I'm seeing a lot of... Wonderful. All right. So we do realize that how these 4 feedbacks affect the way we give out the feedback and how it is going to be perceived by the receiving end, right? So when we're giving out feedbacks, it's very, very important that we remember how to give out our feedbacks, be it to our students or to our team members. Like when we're school leaders, it's very important that as leaders, we give out solid feedback that makes people think about how to make work easier for them, how to make work better for them, and not the kind of feedback that makes people think that you are being mean to them or you're not really considering them or feel disrespectful. I know we don't necessarily mean to be disrespectful. It's just that sometimes we don't get the right words. And that is why these 4 kind of feedback strategies will really help us. And for this, I really have to give out the right credit to the TED Ed team. So if you're a TED Ed educator, you will be able to get more access to these kind of material as well, right? Now, I'm quickly going to take you through the research-driven feedback. Now, this is a research-backed feedback methodology. All right. Before I do that, I'm just going to take a minute to quickly read through the chat as well. All right. I'm seeing a lot of people with the right answer given. All right. Nice. I'm worried that if I start reading out names, I'm going to miss out some people's names. So I'm not going to read out names. But thank you so much for the nice answers. All right. Yes. The most important feedback is self-evaluation, which never misguide us. Absolutely agreed. All right. All right. Perfect. Okay. Now we're going to move forward to the research-driven feedback, the Hattie and Timperley model. All right. What kind of feedback leads us to most learning? So according to this research model, we have effective feedback answers, right? So when we're giving out or when we're receiving these feedback, so when we're self-evaluating ourselves, a teacher had mentioned that self-evaluation is the best kind of feedback. It helps us understand ourselves better. So when we're self-analyzing ourselves as well, the questions that really help us go through the right kind of feedback pattern is these questions. The first one is, where am I going? Whatever decision you make or whatever step you take, be it with your students or be it with your peers or be it with your team, the one question that will really help you out is, where am I going? So what am I planning to do with this, right? What is the end product that I'm expecting? So if you ask this question, it'll set a wonderful clarity in your mind as to how you are going to be processing to reach that goal, the end product. Now, if you answer this first question, it'll set your goals right. Right? So now you know where you are going to end. Now that means it'll take you to the next question. How am I going? Now that you know what the goal is, the next very important question is, how am I going to reach to that goal? So what process I'm going to follow? Now, this requires, if it's a team effort, it requires you sitting down with your team, understanding how you are going to do it, who is going to contribute what, and all of this comes into the picture. So the first one is setting your goal. The second one is deciding how you're going to proceed with it. And the last question would be, like, after you reach the goal, what is going to be your next step? What is the outcome that you are expecting after working? If you feel satisfied, that would be the end product, if I'm not wrong, right? So the three questions are, where am I going? How am I going? And where to next? Now this, whatever you do, it could be a very simple, small decision that you're making, or it could be something huge. It could be a huge school decision. But if you're able to answer, break down your step into these three questions, and if you're able to answer all three questions, then you will be put on the right path. Right? So these are the three important questions. Now, somebody in the chat asked how we can give effective feedback. How can we present effective feedback? Now, for which I'm going to be giving you these steps to follow to give out an effective feedback, which is a research-backed model. The first one is task level. Now, the task level kind of feedback is the one that goes with the question, the what, right? Now, this kind of feedback is mostly focused on the accuracy or the quality of the product. So it's more of like the surface level corrections. It doesn't really connect with emotions or anything, but then it's more about getting the accurate answer or getting the product quality really well, right? So the examples would be, you've used the wrong formula here, right? It's just the basics, but then it completely affects the outcome. So these kind of feedbacks is what we call the task level feedback. The answer would be, for your feedback, the right thing to do next would be to quickly change a way it is done, the task. So that's how the task level feedback works. So it's the answer to the what. All right. So it usually works well with the beginner level task, the easy ones kind of. The next one is the process level feedback. Now, the process level feedback is mostly the answer to the how. Like now, this is more about it talks about strategies, the methods that you do, the technique that you use. Now, this is more about critical thinking and more about skills. So you kind of, give out feedbacks like try grouping some similar ideas before you write your essay. Or what is your plan to do something? Like, say, for example, you have a meeting with your staff and you're planning to improve the outcome of your results. So you are having a result analysis meeting. The right kind of questions you can ask at this point would be to, how are you planning to reach? Now you're talking about the steps, right? The process. The end product is better grades, but then for you to have a good feedback session, it's more of like, how can you do what you want to do? Right? So that would be the process level feedback. Now, this comes in most importantly at times when you want to solve a problem and when you're trying to tap your metacognitive skills. The third one, something that's very close to my heart, something that I really love, is the self-regulation feedback. Now, when you're considering yourself as the learner, right? When you're considering yourself as the person who needs to make these corrections and you're trying to give feedback to yourself. Now, this self-regulation feedback is more of personal feedbacks that you are going to put yourself into. Now, this involves self-monitoring, goal setting, and the motivation that you have for yourself. Now, this is self-regulative feedbacks helps people to take ownership of their actions. Now, when you're dealing with higher secondary students or when you're trying to deal with your peers, like school leaders, when you're trying to deal with your teachers, you cannot necessarily handhold them or micromanage them throughout the whole process, right? And that is when these self-regulatory feedbacks comes into the picture. Now, you are going to let them be independent. You are going to let them work on certain things all by themselves, but then you're also going to be there as the immediate supervisor, right? So you cannot sound very bossy or sound very micromanaging, but then you still have to keep a track of what is done. And that is when self-regulatory feedbacks comes into the picture. You can talk about how are you planning to do this? What are you planning to do differently next time? Like, how can you check your work before you bring it to me for your corrections? This is to a student. And if you have to say it to your co-teacher, your team member, you can ask how you're planning to cross-verify it and make sure that the plan works before you pitch it to me. Now, these kind of feedbacks helps people to be independent and self-efficient. The last one, which is the completely a no way of giving feedback, is the self-level, as in self-boasting or very judgmental, very blunt feedbacks that don't really tap in an action followed by that, right? So it's very broad. It doesn't really have any intention as such. It's more like, good job. Oh, you've done it. You've done it. Great. Oh, you're so smart. You can do it, right? Now, all of these are not validating. It's more of like, you are not, it'll make the other person feel like you don't necessarily care about it. So when the next time as school leaders or as teachers, we give out feedback, it's very important that after a feedback, an action is expected. So always remember this. This is a right formula for feedback. If you're going to stop a student or your team member with the feedback, then it's not a good feedback. A feedback is something that lets the person continue. So more like, imagine your feedback to be a comma and not a full stop. So when there is a task done and you deliver a feedback, it should not stop the action, but it should encourage the person to continue it. Maybe not in the same process, but take up another process or anything. But then it should not stop someone from doing something and make them feel like, okay, yeah, it's done. But then it should be more of continuation of what they are doing. All right. And this is a quick type of feedback at a glance. I'm not going to explain this because this is a repetition of whatever I said. This is only for you to take away. So quickly have a glance through it. You don't know, maybe I might ask you to type in whatever I said again. So, I mean, maybe, I'm not going to say I will. I think Mr. Vijay has asked me to give one example. Mr. Vijay, if you could be, I request you to slightly explain on which part you want me to give you an example, because that would help me to understand where to give you an example. All right. Explain the last one again. Yes, sure. Okay. So I'll quickly take you through the. All right. So I'm just going to quickly, briefly repeat whatever I said in this specific slide. What I said was, this is self-level feedback. Self-level feedback as in we are appreciating the person and not the task that is done. So say, for example, a person is bringing a project to you, or a model to improve your school. I'm talking about school leaders. A teacher is coming to you and the teacher is saying, like, say, I have a good assessment model that will help the students to score high in their board exams. Now, if you're going to say, oh, you are very smart for bringing that to me, then you're not necessarily giving a feedback to the project, but you're only appreciating the person. Now, you should say why the project is really good, that you think the person is smart. Like, say, the project, if the project says a slip test every day when you start the session, now you have to say, okay, that is going to tap in their prior knowledge, and that is a very effective way for the students to always remember what they're learning. So the project is actually a good go. Now, here you are appreciating the project that they have brought and not the person who's bringing that to you. Now, that is very, very important when you're giving out feedback. The feedback should not appreciate the person. The feedback should appreciate the work that they are bringing to you. Only then they're going to feel validated. They're going to feel like they've done the good thing. If we're just randomly going to say, that's a good job, that's a good thing, you're being very vague, right? Even if I say it, I'm being very vague. So that is why it's important to appreciate the work and not the person. Hope I was clear this time. And yes, this is a quick glance for us. All right. And like, what we're taking from today's workshop to implement in our organization, that is self-feedback. Is that correct? I'm not understanding that comment yet. Maybe, ma'am, if you can reword it a little bit, I would be able to understand it a little better. And yes, so this is for you to quickly glance through it, and let me go on to the next slide. Now, this slide is more of completely research. Why should we use this model? Because this model is having an effect of 0.70%, which is 0.70, which is a strong impact on achievement. So out of 1, this is 0.70. Do not consider this to be out of 100. No, out of 1, the effect size is 0.70. And it is empowering students to think and make them self-aware as well. Right? Now, what can we do in classroom and as leaders to make sure that our feedbacks are effective? We have to guide students from task to process to self-regulation. So it's more of like a ladder. We start off by task level, basic level feedbacks, and then we appreciate them for the process that they're doing. And then by the end of it, we are self-regulating them, helping them to be independent itself. So this is how we guide the students into the 3 levels. We start with task, and then to process, and then to the self-regulation level. As leaders, we can give them feedbacks that helps them reflect and not just, comply to whatever we're saying, not agree to whatever we say. Now, that's very important. When we're giving feedback, it's not necessary that we're training the teachers to agree with whatever we are saying. If we're training our team, team of teachers to question us whenever they feel like they have a question, to pitch in their ideas, only then we are being good leaders who provide a good feedback, right? So we should help our teachers to be more reflective And that will help the teachers to come up with a lot of interesting strategies. You will be surprised by the amount of ideas the teachers come and give you when you are letting them explore, right? So that is what it is. And what we'll do is we'll quickly take a 2-minute break, and then we will come back to a quick activity. Deepika, should that be okay? All right. So I think the time is 6:46. We will meet again by 6:48. All right. Thank you. And please stay back. Let's continue the discussion.
Hello, everyone. We're in the middle of a short break. Keep noting down your questions. We will have a Q&A round at the end of the session.
Okay, ma'am.
All right. And hope the break was refreshing, because I am going to, yes, hi again. We're going to be doing a little bit of typing now. And this is going to be your next task. And this is a quick Padlet link. I want you all to quickly check if you can click on the link, or I've dropped the same link in the chat box as well. And for people who can do it in your phone, if you're comfortable doing it on your phone, then this is your scanning code. You can quickly scan and that will take you to a Padlet, right? And that Padlet has 2 questions. What happens when feedback fails, or the feedback moments that changed your teaching, right? I just want you to quickly type in your answers in the Padlet, and let's quickly reflect on how these answers come out. Right? I personally think when feedback fails, we feel demotivated. I'm going to start because nobody's starting as of yet. And please type in your name as well, because we wouldn't know who wrote it unless right, I'm seeing a lot of answers. Feeling of unheard and unseen. Yes, so true. Sad in general in front of others, disappointed. It demotivates us. So true. Responses from children, more impact. When we feel constructive feedback, agreed. Is that all right? It leaves me confused and questions my skill. So true. Sometimes, even when we're doing it good, if we're not receiving the right kind of feedback, makes us feel like we're not, what are we doing? What skill do we have? It puts us to questioning ourselves. And one thing that we have to remember at this point is, it's just like how it's important for us to receive the feedbacks right, it's also important for us to give out good feedbacks as well. Given too late or too soon, that's a very good point, right? Feedback given too late is also ineffective. Giving out feedback too early, even before the work is done, is also ineffective. We feel so demotivated because, see, I'm not done with my work yet. Why do you give me feedback for an unfinished project, right? You couldn't see the outcome, feeling low. Agreed. Right. My facilitation, along with examples of exactly, was wavering. Feel confident about myself. So true. We have understood concept nicely. Nice. Question-based feedback, so that I reflect myself. That's very that's another interesting way of feedback. I can send the link again. Just give me 1 minute. Right. Here's the link. Right. So when we're actually not necessarily giving out the feedback itself, but then when we're asking questions for people to self-reflect, now that way people feel more responsible for their progress. It makes people to feel independent, and it also makes people to take ownership of their growth or their progress as well. That's a very good tactic to give out feedbacks. All right, nice. Mirror and map. Perfectly said. It's the right feedback is a mirror and a map. It shows you where you are, and it also shows you how to move forward as well. Well said. All right. I think keep dropping in your answers, and I'm going to read it. I'm going to let people read it throughout later on as well. So we're going to come back to the presentation. Right. And the art of effective feedback. Now we're going to quickly discuss a few feedback sessions. Can you all see my case study 1? Please, can someone show me a thumbs up if you can see my case study 1? Thank you so much. Now, I'm just going to quickly take you through a situation, and you are going to tell me how you can convert this feedback into an effective one, right? So there's this grade 6 student who's submitting a digital presentation on pollution. This is a part of their science project. Now they've used voice narration, animated slide, and comparison visuals showing air quality over the years. The students have put in noticeable effort, but then it was their first attempt at integrating technology and research. Now the feedback that I'm going to give the child is, great job on your project. Do you think this is effective? What can you do? How will you give out a feedback if this is the case? Also tell me which, if this is a heart or a spade or a club, what is it? This is a self-level feedback. Absolutely agreed. So this is a self-level feedback. It's not working out. Right? Useless feedback. It doesn't give out a climax as such at all. It's not bringing out another action. So you have perfectly identified what kind of feedback this is. I'm just going to quickly ask you to quickly reword my feedback to what you can tell them. Tell them the areas which they were good at, and also need to give them gray areas to improve. Perfect. It should be detailed and directional. Well said. All right, this is heart and self-level. Heart because it is positive, it's warm, but then it doesn't really give out a direction. Right? Okay. All right. I love the use of images, colors, and design. It made your slides more interesting and fun to look at. Now, this is diamond feedback, and it's giving them a direction on what actually worked well, right? Perfect. You did a great job using voice narration and visuals to explain air pollution clearly. I especially liked how you compared data over the years. It shows good effort and research. Next time, try explaining how your visuals support your points even more. Now, this is a very good one. It starts off to be a diamond and also tells them where they can improve. Perfect. Okay. Now, the next, let's quickly move on to the next case study, which I'm not going to keep it for. Okay. Now, this, I want a fellow team member to put your hand up and answer to this. A teacher in your team handled a difficult parent meeting on their own regarding a child's behavior concern. Now, you are observing that, and you are seeing that the teacher is struggling to remain neutral, and he or she is struggling to end the meeting, but then the parent is visibly upset and the parent is moving on. The next day, you are trying to have a quick corridor conversation with the teacher, and you say, I wouldn't have handled the parent meeting that way, I probably would have handled it differently. Now, we all clearly know that this is not an effective way of giving out a feedback. So I want one of you to quickly put your hand up and tell me what is wrong with this and how can we make this right. Okay, I see Ms. Jayanti putting her hand up. Can you please unmute yourself and share where it has gone wrong? Why am I wrong and how can I correct myself?
Yeah, ma'am. Good evening. Jayanti here. Ma'am, normally the PTM day, we are giving the feedback, but not the negative feedback. Whatever the negative feedback also, we have to give in a positive way. And after that, as a leader, when we will meet with the teachers, so we also will instruct them like that way. Like you have to motivate the parents, don't give the direct or the straight line feedback, so that it will be demotivate the parents. Okay.
All
So
right, absolutely agreed.
Give the feedback every time in a positive way. The negative thing also we can motivate, we can change little simple way, and we can make it as a positive thing.
All right, all right. I see Ms. Ria's hand up. Ms. Ria, would you like to add up to this?
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
I just wanted to say that while giving feedback, it is very important for us to be mindful of the dignity of the person standing right in front of us. It's not just the students of whom we have to be mindful, but also the parents. We do not know what background they're coming from, and it's very important for us to maintain the dignity while giving the feedback.
Absolutely agreed. It's very important when you're addressing teachers, you have to remember who you're talking to as well. Miss Sonika.
Yes, ma'am. The teacher should not be self-defensive at that point of time. Teacher defended herself rather than discussing the concern with the parent. I think that's where she went wrong. He or she went wrong.
All right, that's where okay, agreed. But we're discussing more about the feedback that I have given to the teacher. Assuming we're given to the teacher, Mr. Velavan, if I'm pronouncing your name right, Velavan, correct? Yes.
Yes, ma'am. So first of all, this is a sensitive matter and it might potentially require a longer discussion. And I wonder if a corridor conversation is the best place to take it up in the first place. Right? So the teacher might just be stepping into the class and we as an authority figure and coming and saying that I want to talk to you about the parent meeting yesterday. Now that's going to be running in a loop in the teacher's head for the next 40 minutes in her class. Right? So that's number one. And second, yesterday, Sitara ji discussed with us the coiled model. So even before discussing, or giving the feedback, we can use that coiled model to say what happened and how it impacted the school or the conversation as a whole. What was the result? And we just listen to the teacher first, even before framing our response. Right. So I've not gotten into the feedback part, but even before getting into the feedback part, you need to set the right climate. Yeah.
I think you've all pointed it out absolutely correct. I see a few more hands up. I'll take you up for the next case study. I'm sorry, we're going to quickly wrap up the discussion for this case study here. And just like how Mr. Velavan pointed out, it is not a corridor discussion matter. This is something that requires a table discussion where we understand what the teacher has to say as well. And giving out a feedback as simple as I wouldn't have handled it this way is not an effective feedback. Now you have to quickly tell the teacher that where she went wrong and what she could have done to ensure that the parent is not leaving upset, right? So it should not sound like, you did it wrong. It should sound like, what could you have done to make it better? Right? So only when you're able to give your feedback along with suggestions to make it better, it becomes a valid feedback. Or else it's more like that the next moment the teacher is going to be upset with you. Or the teacher is going to feel like you're not respecting him or her. So that's not how we handle our feedback pattern. The next one, all right? There's a newly joined teacher. Now the teacher, he or she has submitted the weekly lesson plan for review. The plan included all topics, but then the objectives were very vague and there was no any mention of formative check or student engagement. Now you're reviewing it late at night and you just dropped a quick WhatsApp message and the message says, you need to improve your lesson planning. Now, what is wrong with this feedback and how can this feedback be made better? Also quickly identify what this feedback category is. Very vague, absolutely. Okay. Ms. Jasneet, yes, you can unmute yourself and...
So in this case, when the teacher is actually getting the feedback, it could be like more precise and clear. Like there are few things that are vague. How the teacher will come to know like what point, what targets, objectives. So we can or the like in charge can write it down. Like there are few things would like to discuss. So it's better we can meet up tomorrow and have a discussion about the things. If she's running short of time, a simple liner could help them. Like it could be like, let's meet tomorrow to have a engaging discussion to improve the plan. So it will help the teacher to go and discuss what the things are being missed on her part.
Yes, so true. And I very much agree with you on how it should be discussed on what is vague instead of just saying you need to improve. And I would like to read out one answer from the chat from Miss Richa. It's also an inappropriate timing and mode of communication, incomplete feedback, and what is the action that needs to be taken is missing. And yes, she's new, it has to be considered. Yes, Mr. Sivansh.
Yeah, so or like Richa has already covered my point. We should avoid like messaging late at night or like after working hours, because obviously it start me time or it's their personal time, so we shouldn't ping about work in that particular hour. Also, while giving feedback, we should be a little bit productive or constructive in the way that, for example, you have written that you need to improve your lesson plan. So instead of this, we could have write that you need to you need to polish your lesson plan like this, or like we should give our examples. Like I did the same thing, and these are the things which I kept in mind while doing the feedback. So you like while doing the polishing, so you can do the same thing. So we should provide them testimonial or facts too, which can help them like improving the work.
Absolutely, absolutely. Very true. We have to clearly tell them how to make it better also. And we should also, avoiding WhatsApp messages, that too at night, is very, very important. As a school leader, we have to remember that. We have to illustrate on how to make it better and everything. Yes. The next few people, I'll quickly take you for the next case study. The next case study goes like this again. It's about leadership. So what happens is, at a department meeting, a senior teacher casually offers feedback to a junior colleague who had been struggling with classroom management. Now, the comment was made in front of others and it was intended to be helpful, but then the recipient was visibly uncomfortable. Now, the original feedback is you should be firmer with your students, it will solve your problems. Now, what is wrong with all of these? Yes, I think I already have a hand up. Okay, now it's done. Okay, so what is wrong with this feedback and how can we correct this? Okay, she should have had, I can see a lot of reflections in the chat. Yes, Mr. Cyril?
Ma'am, feedback should never be given in the presence of others. It has to be one-to-one level and it has to be personal.
Mm-hmm.
Never to hurt the person, but to make the person improve one situation.
Yes, absolutely agreed. Yes, Ms. Ria, would you like to add to that?
It's almost on the same line that the person has to be, the criticism has to be given personally, appreciation should be given publicly.
Publicly.
Yeah.
Yes, perfectly said. Ms. Jayanti, would you like to add up? This will be our last case study. So I'm going to take the
Yes,
answer
ma'am.
from Ms. Jayanti, Ms. Arab,
Yeah.
and yes, we will wrap
Ma'am,
it.
the feedback every time it should be personal.
Mm-hmm.
If the appreciation it should be in the common or the group wise it should come. But if it is a team feedback, don't personalize with the name or someone like that way. Particularly, we will not say like that way. So commonly, if we are there and it is important to give the feedback, the team wise we can give the feedback without saying that person's name. So
Yes.
it will go and reach to everyone commonly.
All right. Agreed. Ms. Arab Shah, if I'm reading your name right. Sorry.
Yes, ma'am. Correctly. Thank you for correctly the name. Taking my name. Yes, good evening, ma'am. Absolutely, it is correct. Where if I also find out this, as I am also senior in my school and as well as the coordinator. So sometimes we are giving tasks to the teachers, and at that moment the perspective about just giving the feedback is just positive, but sometimes teacher took it in a wrong way, like she was just pointing out me why she did it like so the thing went wrong with the coordinator as well as the teacher. So how we can correct it in that way that my intention is just to correct her and make her work better in a better way. So I just want to know how to make it clear, as I also like the point that just should give the personalized, but as well as we are giving a task in the team. So if be giving a team members personalized feedback, so it should not be a team feedback. So how can we overcome with that? Like I'm saying, in a team, I'm giving her one task and giving her second task and gives another one another task. So in that case, and if one teacher is not doing her duty well, so how can I encourage her? Should I encourage in front of all the team members, or should I let her come in office or ask her? It may be impact her badly. So there are two things coming in my mind. Should it be personalized or should it be in front of the team members?
Yes. So I think the case study would have answered your, whatever question you had. It's very important that we take the critical criticism as a like constructive criticism inside the room, more of one-on-one discussion as such. And Mr. Krutansh, would you like to add on to that?
Good evening to everyone. Just I want to add 3 sentences. Feedback should be 3P: personal, perfect, and positive. In this case, I can tell her, or I want to tell her or him that I like the way you have done a blackboard work and the way you are taking the round. But my dear, if you would add some activity, then you will become a favorite teacher for students. So please try it.
Okay. Yes. So you are starting off with something positive, and then you are slowly blending in the constructive criticism. Well said. Okay, we'll take the last person to answer for this case study, Ms. Jayanti. Ms. Jayanti V.
Yes, ma'am. Same like pointer. Also, we show some sample classes for senior teachers. Showing like that means so they take some important points and improve it
Yes.
to next time.
Yes, it's agreed that senior teachers definitely know better. They would definitely, have a better perspective. But even in that case, even if we are a senior, it doesn't really give us the liberty to criticize another faculty in front of everybody and also to be mean as such. Unfortunately, we have to close the discussion at this point. So we will move on to the next few slides. I'm going to quickly take you through a quick chat quiz. I will show you the questions. You drop the answers in the chat, and that's how it works. And with that, we will wrap up today's session as well. Now, this is for me to understand how interesting I was in today's session as well. So this is more of like you all giving me feedback of today's session also. So let me quickly check out the chat. All right. Here we go. Which of these is a helpful feedback? Redo this. You should have known better. Your main idea is strong. Try adding some more examples. This is confusing. Thank you so much for storming the chat with the right answer. The right answer is your main idea is strong. Try adding some more examples. Question number 2. A student is submitting their homework late. What's the best way to give feedback? You're lazy. You always do this. Let's talk about what made it hard to submit on time and how we can fix it. This is unacceptable. I don't know if you're answering for the previous question or for this question, but still C is the correct answer. So I'm gonna think that you gave the answer for this one, right? Which feedback encourages improvement? Don't try this again. Nice try. Think about how you can improve this paragraph for clarity. Terrible structure. All right. A student does really well. What's the best feedback to give? Wow, you're a genius. Your conclusion was powerful because it was backed with an introduction. I am surprised you did this well. All right. Let me move on to the next question. And this time it's going to be only a readout question. So let me see how you do it. Okay. So I'm just going to read the question to you and you're going to tell me what is the answer. What is missing in this feedback? Good job. That's the feedback. Is it praise that is missing? Specific detail that is missing? Kindness that is missing? Or grammar that is missing? Right. Yes, specific detail is missed. You have praise. It says good job. So yes. So specific detail. Okay. Now, the next situation, you notice a teacher managing a noisy class really well. What is the feedback that's going to be very helpful? Option A, you finally handled it properly. Option B, you kept your tone calm and used clear signals. It worked really well. Option C, that went better than usual. Option D, hope it stays this way. Right. Yes, option B is correct. You kept your tone calm and used clear signals. It worked well. Right. Which comment out of the ones that I'm calling out below is vague and unhelpful? Try changing your method next time. Be more serious. Recheck the last two steps. They don't match the method. Your examples made your writing stronger. Which one is very vague and unhelpful? Right. This one I think has confused a little bit of people. I'm going to just quickly explain. Try changing your method next time is still vague, but not as vague as be more serious. So B would be the first most vague answer. Recheck the last two steps. They don't match the method. Seems pretty valid. It's just having the right thing. Your examples made your writing stronger is still a valid response, right? So I think I'm just going to be I'll quickly share my screen. And yes, a quick chat box discussion that we are going to be making before we wrap up the session. If I could change one thing about feedback in my school, what would that be? Like if you can have a quick change of your feedback, what would that be? Quickly drop in your answers in the chat. And this will be the closing reflection for us today. We've discussed a lot of things. Okay, practical changes. Okay, you want to keep your feedbacks personalized. Good. Method of giving feedback, be more specific. Yes. No corridor feedback. Absolutely agreed. Feedbacks needs to be given regularly, right? Private feedback for improvement, public ones for acknowledging the effort. Giving too much importance to unrealistic feedback from parents, right? Unrealistic feedback is something that we don't necessarily have to consider, but we can also try and understand why those unrealistic feedbacks are continually thrust into us. Maybe there could be a reason behind it. Constructive feedback to be given, make it positive, gather evidence. All right. I think we have had the closing discussion. You can keep dropping your answers. And yes, today's discussion was more about creating a feedback-rich culture, how we can get better together, not just as educators, but by just people. We don't necessarily have to be educators to give feedback. We could be anyone, but very important is the feedbacks should not just fix the mistakes alone, it should also give way for progress, help people to move forward. And with this, I'm going to wrap up. You can stay connected with me through my handles here, and additional material for today's session, I will try to drop it in the chat, or Deepika, it should be in the portal as well, right? I will pass it on to you and it can go into the portal as well, right? Yeah, so I think that should be it for today's discussion. I think we have to start. If you do have any questions, I think you can discuss them.
First of all, a big thank you to you for such a meaningful session on building feedback-rich culture in school. I think you broke it down so clearly, from why feedback matters to the 4 types of feedback, the 3 questions to reflect on, and a practical model that we can actually use. Super helpful and grounded in real work. Thank you for being generous with your time and expertise as well. Really appreciate you sharing your insights and making it so relatable.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I hope everybody had a good time.
Yeah. We will begin with a few questions that came up during the chat
Yes.
while you were sharing. So, the first question is that sometimes the positive feedback doesn't seem positive. So, how can we deal with such scenarios?
All right. So, if this is, I think this is a question for the receiving end person, right? So, when we're receiving feedbacks, sometimes the positive feedback, even though it's given with the intention of making it look positive, it doesn't necessarily give us out the same message. Now, to phase this out, the first thing I would ask everyone to do is to quickly analyze the feedback and break it down of our own understanding, right? So, when we are trying to analyze it, we would clearly understand if this is actually very positive or not, and what are they trying to say. Now, if it's meaningless, if it's vague, then it doesn't necessarily have to affect us, because we don't really have to worry about it. Vague feedbacks take us nowhere. But if you think beyond that, superficial look of it being positive and it being confusing at some point, if it actually has something for us to take away, then I think we have to break it down and take it forward with us. I think that's how we deal with feedbacks, be it positive or negative, when we are at the receiving end. I hope I've answered the question.
Yeah, I think thank you so much for that clarity. The next question is sometimes people are not very open for feedback. How to work on that?
I think when this is when we are the person giving the feedback, right? And when we are at a position where we have to give the feedback, at some point, I think it's very important that we set our feet on the ground and say that this is a feedback that I'm giving you because I am bound to do that, right? I need the task done. I need the project done. And because I am the immediate supervisor for you, I do not have a choice but to see how we can work well together. So when we are being very transparent at what we are expecting and why we are giving out this feedback, the person at the receiving end will be more open towards understanding why we are giving a feedback in the first place. And the second thing that we can do is we can be very practical with the way we are giving out feedback. Sometimes when we're being impractical or when we sound superior, like people don't take feedback from us when we are giving out feedback, when we're making it sound like we are superior to them when we're giving the feedback. Now, that way, we might not want to listen to the person giving out the feedback. So, it's very important for us to give them the comfort for them to believe that they are equal to us. We are having an equal level playground of discussion, and they have all the liberty to talk back, explain their situation as well. Now, when that is how it looks like, then people will be more open to take the feedback. It's very important that we don't step up to give the feedback. We have to come down to their level to give the feedback, and that way people will be able to understand it better.
Thank you, Shirley. I think it's very practical insight you shared. Another question is that to what extent should the feedback we receive influence our decision making as a school leader or maybe as a leader? And if you could suggest some tools that they can apply in their work.
All right. I think tool for feedback, the usual one would be the reflective sheets. If you're taking it from, if you are doing it for students, then we always call this end slip, right? The exit slip. It can be a 3-2-1, 3 things that I've learned, 1 thing I don't understand. These kind of feedback methodologies will really help you understand what the students have to say about your session or about whatever project that you are dealing with. Now, this will help you for, so we call these reflection sheets. You have these templates available in the internet as well, or now we easily have ChatGPT. All you have to do is just go type and ask for some reflective strategies and it will help you out. Now, this is with students. With regards to getting feedback from teachers, the usual way is going on surveys and taking Google forms, giving out jot forms, and that will help you get feedback from people. And it'll also help you analyze it if you're getting feedback from a larger number of people. So that will be a quick way to reflect on that. Apart from that, I am always a fan of one-on-one feedback sessions, or at least you group people based on their stream or based on their experience, and you have a discussion, a very small group chat that will help people to open up a lot more to share their feedbacks. So that would be my answer to the second question. And I forgot the first question. I'm really sorry.
No. I think the first question is that to what extent, like
You
feedback.
can have it affect your decisions, right?
Yeah.
Thank you. I recollected the question. So I think when we're school leaders, we carry the responsibility a little over than the other staff members. So I would say whatever feedback comes to us, it has to pass through our own moral filter. We have to sit down and analyze it, because by the end of the day, we are the ones answerable to the management or to people who are above us, the supervising team who works above us. So by the end of the day, it has to be analyzed before it affects our decision. I will not say feedback should not affect our decision. I will not say feedbacks should affect our decision. It really depends on what the feedback is, how it's going to affect the decision that we're making. Is it going to make our decision better or for the worse? So this depends on situation. Like different scenarios call for different answer to this question is what I think. So by the end of the day, it depends. It is in the hands of the school leader himself or herself. You've taken all the feedback, you sit down, do your homework, analyze each of the feedback and understand how it's working out and how it might not work out. You have to respect the feedback that comes to you, but then you should also remember to understand that the consequences of the feedbacks that come to you as well. So by the end of the day, the decision is still yours. It's important.
Thank you so much. I think Parina's ma'am have her hand raised since a long time. We'll quickly take a question and then we'll move to the closing.
Yes, sure.
Thank you for the opportunity. I just want to start off with saying that it was a great session and definitely very interactive because the chat box was filled up. But I have a question, again, were very similar questions to the questions asked before. On the receiving end, my question is, what about the receiving end? And it's a twofold question where I'm asking, what if the person who's giving me the feedback doesn't have the complete context of it? It's working on half knowledge. And you also mentioned that, we could take feedback from everybody around us, non-teaching staff and the students. But I also feel that they might not have that experience or expertise in what I'm doing. For example, if I'm not being strict and a non-teaching staff or a parent comes and tells me that, ma'am, you're not strict, and because of that, a lot of children are getting spoiled. But in my understanding, I think I've created a good rapport with the students, and there is scope. I'm in the middle of something, and I can't change my approach right now. So how do I kind of convey, how do I receive that feedback so that the person doesn't get offended or feels that the feedback is not taken appropriately, whereas I feel that the context was not complete, or the person does not have that kind of expertise to talk about.
All right. I think I would very much agree with with your opinion on how sometimes people who give out feedback don't necessarily have the whole context of what is happening and everything. But at times, sometimes we might think of a problem to be really huge, but somebody as simple as somebody who's just walking by, a non-teaching staff, can have a great idea that can really work out. So I think we have to listen to feedback that comes from anyone. But then to come down to your example, you have your own way of teaching and you have your own reason for how you are teaching this out. But then the problem here is you are working together with a team, right? So the team, you have to explain to your team. It's very important that you explain why you are following this strategy to your bunch of students. Like you might have some of the senior staff who have already tried this method and they see it not working out. And that is probably why they're telling you not to try out this method as well. Or probably you have a very valid reason on why you think this will work out. This calls for a table discussion and not necessarily an acceptance of feedback or declining of feedback. You cannot straight out say, no, I'm not going to listen to your feedback. Or you cannot say, okay, you said you have given me a feedback, I'm going to abide by it 100%. So you sit with the person giving the feedback. Like necessarily, if it's someone more of a coordinator or someone who is in the supervising front, then it is a necessity that you make your supervisor understand why you are following this strategy with your students. So that really calls for a table discussion and maybe a level playground where you say, okay, maybe at these areas, I'm not going to be really lenient with my kids. I'm going to be a little bit strict with their homeworks and their submissions. But apart from the teaching session, I'm still going to continue to be a little bit fun for my kids. So that becomes a win-win for both the person giving the feedback and for the person taking the feedback. I think this is one way you can look at it. I hope I've answered. And yes.
Thank you so much, Shirley, for answering all the queries so like in depth. I really appreciate the time and effort you've put into it. We would move to the closing. Would request you to kindly, I think you can stop sharing your screen because we
Yes.
want to capture participant
Yes.
reactions and really thank you so much. Let's all take a moment to thank Shirley for such an inspiring and practical session. If you enjoyed the session, feel free to show some love with Zoom reactions. So, on the count of three, I want everyone to hit your favorite reaction to show some love for Shirley. So, I'll go opposite. Three, two, one. Yeah, go. Thank you so much. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
everyone. I would also like to thank our audience for joining us today. Also, huge shout out to all the participants. Your engagement, reflective chat made the session even more meaningful. A huge round of applause to each one of you for your incredible commitment over both the days of the workshop. Give yourself as well love with some Zoom reactions. You deserve it completely. Right. So I'll do the
Hello.
countdown again, and I want you all to hit a Zoom reaction for yourself today and feel proud of the 2 day workshop, right? So, three,
Hello.
2, 1. Yeah, go.
Yeah. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Hello, we can hear you, sir. You want to share?
Yeah. So actually, I wanted to ask about the certificate. When we will get the certificate?
Yeah, I'll share. So, you need you need to fill up the feedback form on your learning experience with the 2 day workshop. The link has been posted on the chat box. This will help us grow and improve our resources for you.
You also?
Once you fill the feedback form, you will receive the certificate of attendance at your registered email ID. If you have any questions, please feel free to send them to programs@firki.co. Yeah. And yeah, please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter for regular updates. Thank you for joining us this evening and engaging during the session. We hope you found this valuable. Before you leave, please take a minute to give us feedback on your learning experience, and only then you will be able to access your certificate as well, right? Yeah. So thank you all for joining us this evening and engaging during the session. We hope you found value in attending this session. I can see Rudrama ma'am, your hand is raised. Yeah. Do you want to ask anything? No. Okay. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Kindly fill the feedback form to access the certificate.
Hello, ma'am. I have one question here.
Yeah.
It is regarding the certificate. I am trying to access the feedback form through the link, but I have unfortunately forgot my password. So they had given some instructions how to retrieve the password, but one email has come to me saying that it cannot be possible.
Ma'am,
You
can
have
you
to
share
contact the administrator, some mail administrator,
please
something
share
like
your
that.
email ID, registered email ID with me. I'll help you out. Please share.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shall I share it direct message, DM you, or
You can, you can DM me. Or you can
okay?
write to programs
Which
at the rate firki.co.
How should I do that? Like, shall I give you here through this?
Yeah, you can write it right here.
Okay. Can I know your good name, ma'am? Is it Anu Chatwal? Because I had directly sent one mail to Miss Anu Chatwal.
Oh, if you sent a mail to her, then
Not mail, through message, direct message. I have DM'd her.
my name is Deepika.
Deepika. Okay, I found out. Okay, fine, host. Yeah. Okay, I will just send you my. You need my email address, no?
Yeah,
Okay, okay. I'll do that. Thanks for your help.
thank you. Thank you all for joining. If you don't have any questions, you can drop off the call.
Ma'am,
Ma'am,
hello, ma'am. This is Pratima Kulkarni. The same problem even I am also facing. I forgot the link. Forgot the password of my Firki portal one. So last time when I attended, I have log on with a Google account. Now also I'm trying, but it is showing something. You are already logged in as a Pratima Kulkarni. So log out and it is saying, and I am not able to give a feedback.
No problem. I'm writing the email ID for all of you for your reference. Just write a mail to this ID. We will look into this and get it sorted. Just send your
So then only we
Ravina
can
will
give a
be
feedback and get a certificate, no, ma'am?
yeah. Just write a mail to this email ID. I've sent it in the chat box. programs@firki.co.
It is okay. Zoom mail it is.
No, this is email ID. Just write an email to this ID with your issue.
Okay, ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes.
Yeah, ma'am. I just wanted to ask you. I can see the webinar again because in between I was not able to hear some net issues. So
Yes.
I can revisit the webinar.
Yes,
It will be there.
Yes, we will upload all the recording and resources on the Firki portal. You can go and access the resources. Yes,
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.
right. All right. Thank you, everyone.